My parents canceled my 18th birthday because it would upset your brother. He sneered, "No one wants you here, just go." So I packed my bags that night and never came back. A year later, he showed up at my apartment, crying, yelling, and claiming I stole the life meant for him. "We're not doing anything for your birthday this year. It wouldn't be fair to your brother." My mom's words hit me like a physical blow, and in that instant, I knew my life was about to irrevocably change. I remember clutching the kitchen counter, trying to hide the seismic shift happening inside me. She just kept writing her grocery list, completely oblivious, as if what she'd said was perfectly normal. My name is Alex, and I was 18. Until that moment, I hadn't truly grasped how invisible I'd become in my own home. My brother, Dylan, 2 years younger, was always the golden child. He'd throw tantrums well into high school, always finding a way to make everything about him. If I excelled at something, he'd manufacture a crisis. If I got sick, he'd magically fall ill the next day. And my parents? They always comforted him, telling me to be less showy, more understanding. I spent years trying to shrink myself, hoping if I was quiet enough, helpful enough, less me, they'd finally see. My 18th birthday was supposed to be my finish line. I clung to the idea that once I was legally an adult, I could apply for college, get a job, save, and escape the constant arguments, the suffocating tension, Dylan's endless button pushing that always left me feeling like the villain. I didn't want gifts or a party, I just wanted to feel like I mattered. 2 weeks before, the signs were clear. No one mentioned it. My dad mumbled about tight finances, even after Dylan had just received brand new headphones and a gaming chair. When I cautiously asked, "Are we doing anything for my birthday?" Mom gave me that placid smile that meant, "Don't push it." The final blow came the night before. Dinner. Overcooked spaghetti. "Mom just dropped it, we're not doing anything for your birthday. It would upset Dylan." I blinked. Upset him how? Dylan, scrolling beside me, didn't even pretend surprise. "Because he's been feeling left out," Mom continued. "We don't want to rub anything in his face." Rub what? That I existed? That I'd made it to adulthood despite their indifference? I looked at my dad, pleading, hoping he'd intervene. He just chewed. Then Dylan looked up, a smug little smirk on his face. "No one wants you here anyway. Just leave." He said it like a joke, like we should all laugh. No one did. My mom sighed, a gentle, singing Dylan, not a reprimand. Dad said nothing. My throat tightened, but I refused to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. I just nodded, pushed my plate away, and went upstairs. I packed that night. No slamming doors, no note. Just essentials in a backpack, laptop, clothes, $80 saved from tutoring. I walked out after midnight, the house asleep. No calls, no texts. It was as if they'd been waiting for me to disappear. I couch surfed, eventually scraping enough together for a tiny studio apartment across town. It was rough, with creaky floors and a radiator that hissed like a demon, but it was mine. For the first time, I didn't have to tiptoe around anyone else's mood. I started working part-time, took online classes. It wasn't easy, but it was freedom. I blocked my mom and Dylan, changed my number. It was painful, like cutting out a tumor, but necessary. I told myself I was done with them. I could move on. And for a while, I did. Until almost a year later, to the day, I opened my door to Dylan. Disheveled, red-eyed, crying, screaming that I'd stolen the life meant for him. And just like that, everything I thought I'd escaped came roaring back. I froze. Dylan, in my hallway. Hair messy, face blotchy from crying, hoodie half-zipped. He looked wrecked. But it was his eyes that chilled me, not guilt, but rage. "I've been looking for you for months," he yelled, stepping forward. "You think you can just run away? Like none of it mattered?" I snapped out of my daze, hand against the doorframe. "What are you doing here, Dylan? How did you even find me?" He scoffed, dramatically wiping tears. "You think you're better than us now, huh? Living here like some martyr. You don't get to just vanish and leave me with them. His voice cracked, and I saw panic beneath the anger. My heart hammered, not from fear, although part of me was afraid, but from the sheer absurdity. This was the same brother who told me to leave, who smirked when my birthday was cancelled, who watched me pack. Dylan, I said slowly. You told me no one wanted me there. And guess what? You were right. No one came looking. Not once. He flinched. Because you left. You abandoned us. I gave a dry, humorless laugh. I abandoned you? I was a ghost in that house for years. You're mad I finally stopped haunting it. He pushed past me. I wasn't strong enough to hold the door, and honestly, I was too stunned to resist. He stumbled into my tiny apartment, spinning. This is it? This little box? This is the life you chose over us? I closed the door, exhaling. I didn't choose this over you. I chose me over being your scapegoat. That's when his full meltdown began. You stole everything from me, Alex, he screamed, chest heaving. The future, the attention, the respect. They used to care about me. Then you left and everything went to garbage. Mom cries all the time. Dad barely talks. And me? I get blamed for everything. I blinked. Blamed for what, exactly? For you leaving. For the house feeling empty. For the tension. Do you know what it's like to live where your name is a curse? Every time Mom sighs, it's, I wish Alex was here. Every time I mess up, it's, why can't you be more like your brother? That stopped me cold. No matter how I hated how they treated me, I never expected that. Dylan dropped onto my lumpy secondhand couch, head in his hands. I didn't mean it when I told you to leave, he mumbled. I was just jealous, okay? You were always the smart one, the responsible one. Even when they treated you badly, you still had your stuff together. And me? I was just the mess. I didn't know what to say. I should have felt vindicated, angry. Instead, I felt hollow. I sat across the room. You could have talked to me, Dylan. All those years, you let them pit us against each other. You loved it. You fed off it. So don't come here crying now that the golden pedestal is gone. He shook his head, biting his lip. You don't get it. After you left, they said my birthday wasn't appropriate to celebrate either. Too soon. Insensitive. I didn't even get a cake. I blinked again, a laugh or a scream caught in my throat. So now you know how it feels. Is that why you're here? Because you're not the center of attention? No, he shouted, eyes wide. I'm here because I want things back the way they were. I stood. That's never going to happen, I said, ice in my voice. If you came here expecting me to feel sorry for you, you're wasting your time. He scanned the room. You have your own place, your own job, your own life. You don't get to act like you're the victim anymore. I took a step forward, the storm brewing inside me finally unleashed. You think this life was handed to me? That I just walked out the door and the universe said, congrats, here's your fresh start? I bled for this. I starved for this. I cried myself to sleep more nights than I can count. But I kept going because I knew I deserved better than that house. Than you. His mouth opened, closed. The fight drained from him. Then, a last-ditch effort. He pulled a crumpled letter from his hoodie pocket, threw it at me like a grenade. Read it, he said. You'll see. I caught it, fingers trembling. It was from our parents, addressed to me. Written 6 months after I left, never sent. Mom's tight, messy handwriting filled the page, like she was writing through tears, an apology, or something that tried to sound like one. We miss you. We didn't realize how much you meant to the family until you were gone. Dylan is struggling. We're all struggling. Please come home. It wasn't enough. Not even close. But it was something. And they never sent it. I looked at Dylan, hands shaking. Why didn't they send this? He stared at the floor. Because I didn't let them. I found it on the counter. Mom was sealing the envelope. And I lost it. I told them not to send it. That you didn't deserve it. That you'd rub it in their face. That it would make things worse. My throat went dry. So they listened to you. He nodded. They always did. I dropped the letter. That was it. The breaking point. All those years of being dismissed, discarded, made to feel small. And even after I left, Dylan found a way to bury the one thing that could have changed everything. And now he wanted what? Forgiveness? Redemption? A do-over? I couldn't breathe. The apartment felt suffocating. Dylan, my childhood antagonist, was staring with wet, trembling lips, as if he was the one wronged. Before I could speak, he muttered something that shattered my last restraint. I should have been the one to leave. I narrowed my eyes. What? He looked up, face twisted. You don't get it, Alex. That life, it was supposed to be mine. The job, the apartment, the respect. Mom and Dad always said, you'll do big things, Dylan. You're special. You're the one we believe in. And when you left, they stopped saying it. They started talking about you. They were angry. Yeah, but they couldn't stop comparing me to you. Even when I begged them not to. He looked up, eyes blazing. You stole that from me. The dam burst. I took a long step forward, looked him dead in the eye. You want the truth, Dylan, my voice low and steady. You didn't lose their respect because of me. You lost it because you spent your whole life expecting the world to hand you things just because people said you were special. But I earned everything I have. You're not jealous of what I stole. You're jealous that I survived without needing you. Without needing them. Dylan's lip quivered. I expected him to lash out, but instead, he stood, walked slowly to the door, and turned back with a look I'll never forget. This isn't over, he whispered. You don't get to erase me that easily. Then he walked out. I stood there shaking. Deep down, I knew he wasn't wrong. It wasn't over. Not yet. After the door slammed, I didn't move for a long time. The silence pressed in. The letter lay on the floor, corners curled, ink smudged. Proof Mom had cried over it, maybe even regretted. But Dylan, he'd intercepted that sliver of humanity and made sure I never saw it until now. Not because he'd changed, but because his own life was unraveling, and he needed someone to blame. The thought that I might have gone back if they'd send it hit me like a freight train. Grief sneaks up on you, even when you think you've buried the dead. I thought I'd mourned my family, made peace. But that night, I cried harder than I had in a year. I wasn't just mourning what they did, I was mourning what could have been. The version where my parents came to their senses, where Dylan grew up, where we rebuilt something. That version didn't exist. Letting go of that idea hurt more than I expected. I spent the next week in a fog. Missed shifts, nearly got fired. Missed class deadlines. My manager pulled me aside, you look halfway buried, kid. You okay? I wasn't, but how do you explain a rejected villain brother sabotaging the one olive branch from your parents? You don't. I just nodded, said I was tired. I'd hit rock bottom. Not broke or homeless, but the kind where you realize you've been surviving, not living. That your whole life was about getting away from something, not going towards something. I was 19, in a windowless studio, smelling of regret. No family, no safety net, just me. It scared me. But slowly, quietly, something shifted. A job listing. A girl from my online class, Sophia, posted about a local nonprofit needing part-time help. Data entry, admin. Better pay, resume experience. I almost didn't apply, thought I had no chance. But I did. They hired me. In the Zoom interview, I thought I bombed. But they liked my honesty. I don't have much professional experience, but I've handled difficult people my whole life and can stay calm under pressure. They laughed. I didn't tell them I meant my family. The work was straightforward, the environment a revelation. Kind, respectful people. My supervisor asked for my opinion. For the first time, my voice had weight. It was small, but it felt like gold. I took pride in my job. Showing up early, asking questions, even streamlining a filing system. They noticed. More hours. Then, an offer for full-time after school. Me, the kid who walked out because he didn't get a birthday. Other things fell into place. I submitted a personal essay to an online magazine about estrangement, family guilt, the strange grief of choosing to cut ties. They published it. No viral sensation, but dozens of emails poured in. People saw themselves in my words, trying to break free, feeling less alone. I wasn't alone either. Sophia, the job poster, we started talking, hanging out. One night, after a long walk, 2 hours just talking about childhoods, she held my hand. She didn't ask for the whole story at once, let me unravel in pieces, never pushing, never judging. When I told her everything, Dylan, the birthday, the letter, she just looked at me and said, "That's not a family. That's a crime scene." We both laughed until we cried. By winter, I had savings, a new laptop, better furniture, my first real peace. I even treated myself to a birthday dinner. Just me, Sophia, and friends from work. Takeout, card games. But when they surprised me with a homemade cake, candles and all, something cracked open in my chest. I hadn't realized how much I needed to be celebrated, not tolerated, not ignored. Celebrated. That's when I knew I wasn't broken anymore. Not fixed, healing isn't straight. But not drowning in silence or shame or bitterness. I was becoming someone I actually liked, someone who didn't need conditional validation. And just as I settled into this new chapter, just as I thought the past might stay buried, I got a message. Not a call, not a letter, a direct message from an anonymous Instagram account. No profile, no bio. Just one message, "You think this is over? You took everything from me. You're going to pay for what you did." My blood ran cold. I knew who it was, Dylan. I hadn't heard from him in months. My parents either. I thought they'd finally accepted I was gone. But he was back, and he was angry. He was watching. The message came the day after I posted a picture of me and Sophia celebrating my acceptance into a local university's transfer program. New beginnings, I'd captioned it. 40 likes, nothing major. But enough to set him off. I blocked the account, heart racing. Sophia told me not to worry, that people like him thrive on reaction, that he felt powerless. I believed her. But I still double-checked my locks, installed a security camera. Because Dylan was unpredictable. When people like him feel they're losing control, they become dangerous. He'd sabotaged me once. I had a gut feeling he wasn't done. What I didn't expect was how far he'd go, or how, in trying to ruin me, he'd destroy himself. I didn't sleep much. The message replayed, "You're going to pay for what you did." It felt like a warning, not just blowing off steam. And the scariest part? He wasn't wrong. I did take something from him, but not how he meant. Dylan spent his life feeding off comparisons, stealing attention, praise, sympathy. When I left, he didn't just lose a brother, he lost his mirror. The person he measured himself against. Now that I'd built something without him, the illusion shattered. That kind of person doesn't cope. They retaliate. And Dylan never played fair. I blocked the account, deleted the photo, but not the feeling that this wasn't over. So I started preparing. Quietly. Carefully. First, I told Sophia everything on her balcony, a mug of tea warming my hands. She just listened. She didn't jump to fix it. "So, what do you want to do?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. I don't want a war, but I don't trust him to stay away. She nodded. Then maybe it's time you stopped reacting and started planning. That stuck with me. For most of my life, I'd been on defense, managing fallout. Now, I had space, resources, time. Nothing to lose. Dylan still lived with our parents. They hadn't changed. They walked on eggshells, let him rewrite history. But cracks were showing. He was scared. Scared people slip up. So, I started watching. I created a fake account, blank profile, common name. Followed his old friends, family, mutuals. 3 days. He accepted. He wasn't private. Dylan loved attention. Even now, suffering, he posted like a reality star, sad selfies, dramatic captions, veiled threats, screenshots making my parents look like villains. A curated mess. But the comments. Yo, you still selling those Adderall scripts? Hit me up. Old message, but it triggered a memory. Years ago, I'd seen him take pills before tests, heard him brag about getting study drugs. Was he selling them now? I didn't jump to conclusions, but the seed was planted. I dug deeper. Used the fake account to reach out to an old classmate, a loudmouth. Pretended to be new in town, looking for help with finals. Try Dylan, last name, they replied. Dude, S always got something. My heart pounded. If Dylan was dealing, even casually, it was a matter of time. The irony, he claimed I stole his life, yet he was risking his future for a few $100 and a high school reputation. I had options. Report him anonymously. Let the university handle it. But that felt incomplete. It wasn't just about Dylan. It was about my parents. Who ignored his lies, who canceled my birthday, who let me leave in silence. I still had the letter, folded and worn. Looking at it again, I noticed the return address, a P.O. box. Not their house. I dug. A rented mailbox service in a shopping plaza. Why? Unless they didn't want anyone to know where it came from. Then it clicked. They hadn't written that letter because they missed me. Someone pressured them. I remembered old conversations with relatives, teachers. Maybe a social worker, a distant relative. My parents wrote the letter, sealed it, never sent it, but made sure it looked like they had. And Dylan destroyed it because he knew if I read it, I might come back. He wasn't just protecting his ego, he was protecting their lie. That was the final piece. Now it wasn't just revenge. It was truth. I started building a paper trail. Screenshots of Dylan's messages, social media posts, the direct message. Old voicemails from my parents. Everything I remembered, favoritism, gaslighting, neglect. I reached out to a former teacher who'd asked if I was okay, in 10th grade. She cried. Offered to write a letter. Then the hardest thing. I contacted my aunt, Patricia. Dad's sister, an outlier. Lived hours away, rarely came to events, openly critical of my parents. I used to think she was difficult. Now, I realized she saw clearly. I found her email online. Sent her a long message, start to finish. She replied next day, I always knew something wasn't right. I'm so sorry it took this long for someone to believe you. Whatever you're planning, Alex, I'm in. The first time someone from my family ever said those words. I cried. And then I kept planning. Dylan wasn't going to stop until he made me the villain. But I was done playing that role. He didn't realize that while he spiraled, I documented, watched, grew. I had friends, allies, witnesses. A job, college acceptance, a published article. He had a trail of pills, a reputation for chaos, a closet full of skeletons. I wasn't going to expose him with fire and fury. I'd do it with truth. When his manipulation and lies crashed down, I'd be there, not to gloat, but to ensure he never pulled anyone else down again. It all came together the following spring. My life had shifted completely. Full-time student, fewer hours at the nonprofit, but more meaningful work, grant writing, outreach, planning, community partnerships. Routine, people, peace. But Dylan's words still echoed, "You took the life that was meant for me." He believed it down to his bones. He couldn't steal it back, so he'd tear it apart. That was his nature. So, when I moved forward, it wasn't rage. Not revenge for revenge's sake. It was closure. Justice. It started with a single envelope. Inside, a 10-page packet. Page 1, my cover letter, statement of concern. Pages 2 through 10, documentation, screenshots, emails, character witness statements, harassment records, evidence of drug sales, collected over months. Even a note from my old, now retired, teacher, describing years of observed neglect and harmful emotional patterns in our home. I didn't send it to the university directly. I sent it to 3 places. The university Dylan still attended, grades slipped, but hanging on. The local police, a redacted version focusing on drug sales and online threats, via their anonymous crime tip system. And my Aunt Patricia, with a letter asking her to send the file to anyone who could help if things stalled. She did one better. She handed it to a lawyer. And that's when the dominoes started falling. Not overnight, these things never do. But within 2 weeks, the University Conduct Office emailed Dylan for a formal disciplinary hearing. They didn't name me. He knew. That same week, 2 detectives visited my parents' house, asking about a prescription pill ring operating in their son's name. Dylan panicked. Deleted Instagram, Twitter, every incriminating post. Too late. Screenshots don't vanish. Witnesses don't unsee. I stayed quiet until news broke in our old neighborhood online group. Someone posted Dylan was suspended, under investigation, students coming forward with screenshots of him offering pills. The golden child image he'd clung to for so long shattered in full view. It hit my parents like a freight train. At first, denial. Lies, vendetta. They even tried to blame me, spreading rumors I'd manipulated things. But no one believed them. Not anymore. The evidence was undeniable. And I had allies. Aunt Patricia, God bless her, went on a quiet crusade. Contacted family, shared my letter, told them what really happened, favoritism, neglect, years of isolation. People listened. They asked questions. My cousin Chloe, years estranged, messaged, "I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known." I believe you. Even my grandparents, distant, sent a real letter. We had no idea. We thought your parents were just stressed. We see now how wrong we were. We're proud of you, Alex, and sorry we weren't there. I cried. For the first time, people who should have protected me took responsibility. The real justice came during the university hearing. I wasn't there. My statement and documentation were. But Dylan was. And Marcus, a student witness he'd burned, stepped forward. He'd been afraid, but once the investigation opened, he told everything. Dylan's academic career imploded. Expelled. Not just suspended, expelled. His record flagged for criminal conduct. Scholarship revoked, housing terminated. The police tip meant more. He was arrested 2 weeks later. Nothing dramatic. No handcuffs in the front yard, but the mugshot appeared online, a tiny local news piece. I saw it. Everyone did. The fallout at home was nuclear. My parents tried to control the narrative, but it slipped through their fingers like water. Dylan was their star, their excuse. Now he crumbled, so did their lies. Messages came from old mockers, ignorers, neighbors who believed my parents. I had no idea. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. I didn't respond to most. This wasn't for recognition. It was for peace. But one thing remained. A final moment. Not anger, but closure. I wrote my parents a letter. Short, calm, honest. Dear Mom and Dad, I know you're looking for someone to blame. I know you want to believe this all came out of nowhere. But the truth is, you built this. You built Dylan into someone who believed he was untouchable. You punished honesty and rewarded manipulation. I didn't ruin his life. I saved mine. I wish things had been different. I really do. But I'm not coming back. I have people now who see me. I have a life that doesn't revolve around walking on eggshells. Don't contact me again. Alex, I didn't expect a response. Didn't get one. Dylan got community service, probation. Avoided jail time. First offense, family lawyer. Privilege, still working overtime. But his record was marked. Lost job offers, credibility. Last I heard, working nights at a local warehouse, living at home, barely speaking. My parents retreated. Their perfect family image gone. Holiday newsletters cancelled. Hollow smiles at church. People whispered. No one left to blame. Just the truth. And me? I graduated. Sophia and I moved into a bigger place, one with windows and warm floors and no ghosts in the corners. She framed my first published article, hung it by my desk where I write now. We host dinners with friends, celebrate birthdays without guilt. And sometimes when I walk past a mirror, I barely recognize myself. Not because I've changed, but because I've finally become me. I used to think revenge was about hurting someone back. But now I know the most powerful revenge is simply this, living your best life. What would you have done if you found that unsent letter?